Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In the last video we have seen that how we can create bottom navigation in Flutter, and we have created that. And if you go from your main screen under the bottom navigation section, you can see that we have created this bottom navigation. If you didn't see my previous video, you can go under the videos section. I have created the part 1, that how you could create this bottom navigation. And for each bottom navigation tab we have created this contents for each tab, like favorites, recents, and contacts. So first we will see how you can create the favorites contents, and we also seen that you have to create a separate file for your favorite, and for recent we have already created that. And now we will refactor all the code to display how the favorite list will look like. So if you can see on the screen, this will be our recent list. There would be a list style. We will use listview.builder, and we will use this avatar and phone button icon. And then for our favorites list we will use this GridView thing. Okay, so let's start with recent list. How you can um, you know refactor this code and display all of the list. So it's very easy. We have seen before that how you can create listview.builder. We will use the same thing. And another thing, I have also created this user model. This is very simple. It just have a name and phone number, and we will show you how you can create this list of users as well. So we will create a list of users here in the recent list dot file. So let's create a list of user, and we will call it users. And we will initialize this users list from user model, and we will create an array, and we will also import this user model class which we have created already. So after that we will create a couple of users. Let's suppose user, and we will write some name. Let's suppose John Doe, and phone. Inside phone we will use the string, and let's say 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So right now phone is act as a string, so we will create like that. And let's copy this for multiple times, so you just have an idea that these user can be changed. You can change later on, but right now we have to display this on listview.builder. So the next step is, rather than returning this container and centered text, we will want to display the list view builder. So we will return, instead of this container, we will return list view dot builder, and we will have some item count. So for item count we will use users dot length, like that. And for item builder, we will build the item, each item of the users list. So it will take build context and index, and inside the body of item builder we will return list style, like we also did the list style thing in previous videos as well. So we will use this list style widget. So for list style we have different properties, and first we will use leading, and for leading we will use circle avatar, and inside this circle avatar we have a child property, and we will use simple text component or text widget to display our user's name first character. So for John Doe we will display this only J on circle avatar. So let's do that. Users of particular index dot name of 0th index. So it will automatically pick the first letter of the username. So this is the leading part. And next, for trailing section, we need to display some icon button. So inside that icon button we have on press property. Right now we won't be doing anything, it is just a design, so just to display phone icon. So icon would be icon icons dot phone, like that. So as you can see, this icon will display as a trailing section of this list tile. So also we can provide highlight color. So for highlight color we will just use colors.teal according to our apps theme. So after the trailing section, we will want to display title for the list tile, and title would be simple text, and we will say users of particular index dot name, and it will extract this username here. And for the subtitle, we will use like again the text component, and for text component we will use users of particular index and dot phone. So phone number will be displayed as a subtitle. And for on tab we won't be doing anything, just an empty body. So if you hit save and go into the recent section, as you can see there is a whole lot of users list along with their phone number as a subtitle. And this is the icon button for the call section. If this would be a real world call list, on top of this call icon you can make some call to the user on their phone number. So if we change another user, let's say I'm giving my name Zubair Ahmad, and let's hit save, and as you can see it automatically picks the first letter of the user in the circle avatar. So this is very simple in the recents. And now we will move to our favorites list. So for favorites we want to display this particular kind of grid view. So it's very easy to display, and how you can achieve that, we will implement this particular, let me close user model. So here in the favorites list we will return something like rather than using list view we will use grid view. So we will use this grid view dot count this widget, and now we will define some properties to display a nice grid view, as you can see here on the screenshot. So inside gridview.count we will define cross axis count. So cross axis count would be how many columns you want to display in a single row. So in our case we want to display 2 columns, so we will put a static 2, and we will say cross axis spacing, we will say we want to have spacing of 0.5, and main axis spacing. So the cross and main axis spacing is like that. As you can see there is a spacing around the each item of the grid view, so it's nice to have 0.5, it will look great. So child aspect ratio, so child aspect ratio is another property, so we will say 1.1. So as you can see the whole child like this one is displayed as 1:1 ratio. So after that we have to define children, and now we will use um, okay, so for children we won't be displaying any static grid items. We want to display the same list as we were displaying here in the user. So let me copy this one and let me paste here like that, and we will import the user. You can also have this users in a separate file and you can access that. So for the tutorial purpose I am using the same list here as well. So for that we want to use dot generate method. So inside the children we want to display list of widgets. It won't be a single widget but a list of widget. and we will generate it like that. So we want two things, length and generator, and how you can define. So let me put comma here, trailing comma, and for length we'll just say our users list dot length, and for generator we will write something in generator. So for generator we will receiving an index, and after the index we will have some body. So inside that body, same like as previously we have used this list tile, so there is another widget which is called as grid tile. So we will return grid tile like that, and for this grid tile we have a bunch of properties we could use. So first one is footer. So we will use footer. As you can see here on footer section we are displaying the username. So for footer section you can use something like container, and we will give it a nice little padding, const edge insects dot all, and we will give a padding of 10. 10 would be fine, I guess. And for child of that container we will display a text, and inside that text first we want to display a username. So users of particular index dot name, and after that we will give it a style so that it will display exactly same like here the username. So for style we will use style property of the text, and we will say theme dot of context dot text theme, and after that we will use body 2 and dot copy with, and we will use colors dot white like that. If you hit save, there is an error, so don't worry about it, we will fix that in a bit. So inside that container, um, after the footer we want to display something like a card. So footer section has been defined, so after that we will need to display a card. So for grid tile we have a footer, and now we will define its child property, and inside that child we will use card widget. So by using this card widget you will see something like this card as a grid item. So inside that card we will define first the elevation. Let's say it would be 0.0. We don't need to define any elevation according to this design. So for color we will use like colors dot primaries, and here I need to display different type of colors here. As you can see there is a brown color, pink, dark pink, blue, teal, purple, red, and every time you load that screen we need to display different colors on each grid item, so it will look a nice healthy effect. So for that, inside that primaries array we need to define a method so that every time we can generate some random numbers, and from those random uh, we can get some different colors every time. So first we need to define let's say we will define a variable final, and we call it underscore random, and create an object for random. So in Dart it is easy to define a random object. We just need to import the library of Dart colon math. So random number generator is inside this library, so we have just imported, and now we need to create a little method. It has a int return type, and we call it, let's say, next, and inside we will say int minimum and int maximum. We will pass minimum and maximum value, and what it will return it will return something like, so minimum plus random dot next int, and we will say maximum minus minimum, so something like that. It's very simple formula. We just need to define some random colors here, so every time you load this screen the random colors would display here, so you can see the output in a bit. So let me define this inside the primaries. We call this next method that we have just created, and for next, let's say for um, we need to define 0 as a minimum value, and let's say we can say 17 as a maximum value. So I have picked up some 0 to 17 colors, different colors. So every time you load this screen, so 17 different colors will get randomly from this function. So next thing, we need to define the child for this card. For child, first we will define inkwell. So inkwell widget is something like it has a on tab property, and you can define its highlight color. So every time you click or tap on particular grid item, it will highlight with a nice effect of colors. So that I want to achieve here. So inside that inkwell, we will first define highlight color with the same method we define above here. So we say colors dot primaries, sorry, we have to spell it right, colors dot primaries, and we will again call this function next, and for next method we will say 0 to 17, let's say. Okay, so after that highlight, let's say we have an on tab for this inkwell. We will do nothing but just defining the on tab so that we can see the effect of the different colors on tab of each grid item. So after that we have to define the child for this inkwell, and inside that child we will use a center widget so that we can display this user's name first element here in center, and we can define its text style as well so that it will look a bigger one like you can see on the screen. So inside that center we will use the child of the center, and we can define some text, and inside that text we will use users of particular index dot name of 0th location, so 0th element of that name. So after that we will define the style. Okay, sorry, style not for the center one but for the uh, text one. So text component or text widget, we have a style, and for style we will again use theme dot of context and dot text theme dot display to dot copy with, and we will say we want to define change the color, and colors dot white 70. So white 70 means it will not be completely white but a nice grayish color. So white 70 is something like that. So let's save it. So here you go. As you can see, there is a nice grid view, and if you tap on it, you can see you you can see the highlight for the different random colors as well. So every time you go back and you come here, you can see there are different colors displaying from 0 to 17 like I defined here. So minimum is 0 and maximum is 17. So random number will generate within the range of these numbers, and we will define color primaries. So color primaries has an integer type from 0 to 17 they can define here. So as you can see, and for this inkwell color highlighter, I again use this color dot primaries. So every time you will tap on each item, it will display a nice highlight color of that tapping. You can see that. So it is nice. So we have defined our favorites contents for that bottom navigation and recent for that bottom navigation. So for contacts, I have as I have defined in previous video that we will use the same recent list as our contact list, so it will look similar like that. So you can also implement some kind of search here, and for that search you can search between the list of users as well, so you can customize it on your own way. So I have just given you an idea that how you can define this bottom navigation bar and contents for each navigation bar. So this is very simple. So that how we can end our video for bottom navigation. And if you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you can see my latest videos. And in the next video, surely I will be um, giving you some important design aspects as well. And we can also implement this custom floating action button so that you can see how we can play around with floating action button. And on this screen, as you can see, there is a floating action button as well, so you can define here as well. So in your favorites list or recent list, in the body section of your bottom navigation screen, after the body you can define something like a floating action button, and we can say floating action button. And we have a few of the properties for floating action button. Let's say on press, let's leave it blank. And we can say child. For child we can use something like icon. So icons dot, let's say dialer maybe. So dial pad, yeah, this one. So for color, background color, we will use colors dot, you can use any color you want. Let's say we want to use yellow color. For that, let's hit save. And if you go inside bottom navigation, so yellow color is not looking very much active. Here we will use teal again. So you can see there is a teal color behind the floating action button. And if you go to each screen, you can see this floating action button as well. So that's the today's video, and hope you like that video. Please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you in next video. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.